Everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. FabianForLiberty.com is my website. Actually, in my garage, in my little art studio that I put together out here. Very rarely shoot videos from here, but it's one of those days. Anyways, I wanted to talk about the stock market crash that started on Friday. Has continued to collapse today. As you know, I've been very vocal about the stock market reaching 20,000 on the Dow prior to the next real major leg down that I think will be a multiple implosion of bubbles, all the different bubbles that we've seen inflated, which will, I think, be the end of this current business cycle that we're in. You know, it's been very interesting to see commentary that from a lot of people that I usually agree with, but now I'm in disagreement because all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's the same people that talk about how markets are manipulated upwards. When the markets crash, they think that it's an indication, and it certainly could be, that it is a sign that, you know, the manipulation failed. Now, let me be very clear here. All of the markets are manipulated. I've always said that, okay? Every single one is manipulated. I mean, there is really no more free market economies if you think, I mean, I can't think of one, really. I mean, there's certain black markets that that really have all the signs and symptoms of a free market. But certainly the Dow Jones or the stock market or the real estate market are far from free markets whatsoever. But this is basically a manipulated collapse. If you pick up any publication, the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, if you look at CNBC, all of them are saying, or many of them are saying that this is the sign of a healthy market. Look, I mean, back in May, I think it was May or April of 2011, the market crashed almost 800 points in one day. We haven't seen that happen yet. We've seen it crash based on what they say is happening in China. China now comes out and says, well, they're going to do a major quantitative easing or major liquidation. They're going to allow banks to basically lower their reserves so they lend out more money. It's another form of manipulation, another form of government stimulus. I've told you all along, this is not a currency war that China started. This is a coordination of central banks trying to do everything they can to continue to expand the credit supply and to continue to inflate asset classes in this last desperate attempt to what they believe, and these people really believe this. I mean, you listen to the Keynesians like Paul Krugman, they really believe more government stimulus, more government debt is the solution, okay? But these guys that have been calling for this, people are like, no, you're crazy. But and I've said this all along, I think we might be seeing this now. I think that it's very possible that we are beginning to see actions both economically, I hope not geopolitically, that lead the public once again to basically go along with any form of financial insanity. If you think about 2008, the crash that happened then, really that was a banker-manipulated crash. The bailouts were completely manipulated. They did not need to happen. What needed to happen was these big financial institutions had to go bankrupt. Instead, they got trillions of dollars, and then within 6 months, they were getting billions of dollars in golden parachute bonuses, okay? We're here again, you know, they say investors. Like, what investors? I mean, over 60% of the stock market is high-frequency trading by these big brokerage firms. So personally, I think that this is a manipulated crash. I think that it is an attempt to show the world and show, you know, to basically go along with the narrative that this is a healthy market. See, look, it's crashing. It's just not just going up. I'm sticking with my Dow 20,000 within the next year. I think that we are on the verge of a massive currency devaluation / stimulus, if you want to call it that. I mean, that's what they call it. I think it's insanity, but the likes of which we have never seen ever before. And look, remember that with for a stock market to go up, you need two things. You need to have economic growth, which we don't have. If you factor in inflation, we haven't had it probably, I mean, for the exception of a few quarters, we probably haven't really had real growth in the U.S. economy, I'd say, since probably the beginning of 2000. But the other thing you need to have is you need to have cheap money. Cheap money so people can speculate. Now, they're about to unleash waves upon waves of cheap money so that people can speculate. I think we've just begun to see, and that doesn't mean the market's not going to crash more or go down more. It doesn't mean that we might not have a couple back-to-back quarters of negative growth. But by and large, I think we're about to see unprecedented economic stimulus. Let me just say this too: is that with the gold price, gold has gone up. I think it was like $11.50 yesterday, and the same people that the same people that basically say, well, it's being manipulated downwards. They're not saying it's being manipulated upwards. It's not. It's been manipulated downwards. And it's been manipulated downward. Why? Like I said all along, and like I think it was the London Guardian talked about, because the elite are buying gold Italian job style. I mean, they've come out and said that. They're buying it by like the $600,000 pound or 600,000 pound bar, like in the movie The Italian Job. And so they manipulate it downward so they can buy more. That's definitely a potential that we're seeing in the stock market, being manipulated down, shaking some loose trees. And, I read an article today that was talking about frantic panic selling was leading to panic buying. Okay? So, I keep, a lot of people are like, oh, what happened to your 20,000 Dow? Let me just say this final thing. I've always told you, don't take my word for anything. This is my opinion. My opinions have worked for me in my life. Not always, that's for sure, but... Look, there's a lot of people out there giving information like they know what they're talking about. Remember that when things get really bad, you have to be really careful who you listen to. And I would humbly suggest you listen to yourself. I think all of us, if we fine-tune that muscle, it's like working out at the gym. It gets stronger, our intuition. I think that's who you should be listening to, is yourself. Obviously, there's good to bring in new voices, have people that you rely on, advisors and all that, but there's a lot of insanity being discussed economically because of 2 days in the Dow Jones going down 500 points each day, it's really crazy. Okay, last thing I want to just mention, I was thinking about this whole event over the weekend and seeing what's happening in China and everything else, and there's a lot of people worried and concerned and fearful right now. I'm not really one of them. I know this sounds crazy and whatever. I don't even care what people think and the trolls and what have you. But I went through this 9-step program that has fundamentally changed my life. I went through it with 25 other people. It's changed their life. They're not living lives filled with fear anymore. When the Dow Jones goes down $500, I'm not spending my day researching about food storage. And to be honest, I used to do that. I can't think of the amount of time I used to spend really with a fear-based mentality. That doesn't mean I'm living my life with rose-colored glasses. It doesn't mean I'm not looking at the economic reality of the world. I'm just not fearful about it. And it's because of this 9-step program that I'm going to be teaching the whole thing September 4th. I'd love for you to join me. Already, it's the biggest webinar that I've ever done as far as people registered. It's going to be great information. And if you have fear in your life, uncertainty about what the future holds, really I can go on and list like dozens upon dozens of symptoms. But it really all comes down to fear, I think, for most people, of why they don't do stuff in their life or why they stop from reaching certain goals or whatever it may be. And really stops them from achieving real abundance. And I'm just talking about material stuff. I'm talking about an abundance of love, an abundance of health, financial abundance, all of the above. The registration link is down below. I'd love for you to join me. It's going to be great. Again, I'm Fabian Calvo. FabianCalvo.me is my website. Thanks for watching. I'm out.